Hey there guys, Spazzy Dragon aka Syndromes here, and welcome to the first episode of the currently still unnamed Avorion Let's Play for late 2019-2020, and as already mentioned in the previous episode, the introduction video, this is a full damage, insane difficulty playthrough, of which I currently don't really have any sort of theme or limitations for, apart from its difficulty setting. Before I begin, let me very quickly address one thing that I mentioned in the previous episode about the mods, where I talked about the Advanced Shipyard mod and why I'm actually using it. The reason for using the Advanced Shipyard mod is for the difficulty setting. There are no reconstruction tokens in Insane, so being able to order ships from shipyards that used saved designs is probably going to come in handy, especially since by doing so you can order them with full crew as well as a captain, as long as you have the necessary friendly standing with that nation. The playthrough, of course, starts, as you might expect, with a quick visual survey of the starting system, and all you have to do is just scroll out your camera wheel out of the way and get a good view of your surroundings of what you have to work with. And it seems that the game has changed in some aspects, especially when it comes to what you get at the start. The first thing I noticed is that it seems that we get much more titanium in the starting sector, as well as a few secret stashes. Though I do know that they are quite away from me, so flying there on a drone is going to be a bit of bothersome, so it's time to design the first ship. Now, one of the issues when it comes to designing your first ship, especially when you've played Avorion a couple of times, is that you fully realize and understand that whatever you're going to design now is not really going to last for too long, at least when it comes to the visual design. But even so, I felt compelled to give this little mining drone, which I named more like Tendencies, a more sleeker and detailed design than I would usually give. Almost AI drone-esque if you ever play Discovery Freelancer. From there are two ways to go around this. I can use this ship as a base AI to build around it for the next ships that I'm going to use, or I can use this ship overall as a visual baseline for the ship line that I'm going to spawn as I create more ships. Anyway, the initial design was very simple, and I think that Chris Verd is going to be very glad to hear that yes, I did in fact incorporate a dampener in this little small ship Ethan of mine. And after I was satisfied enough with the bare minimum, I finally set out to harvest some resources. And at this point in time, my immediate goal for the situation was pretty straightforward. One, to finish all of the last touches on this drone ship and turn it into a dedicated miner, and then create a second ship that I'm actually going to be using for the foreseeable future until I die horribly. Still, the first change to this plan was when I quickly realized that the starting area had much more titanium than I first thought it had, so I started ignoring iron altogether. Knowing that once the mining drone was done and it had a captain on it, it would no doubt take care of all of that, so instead I went to manually get all of the titanium that I could at the time, and this was also when I came across the first secret stash, which contained a mining turret and some credits, both of which are very useful at this point in time, of course, but it was the second one that I found that was the big deal. It held a turret upgrade, a turret system upgrade, which would allow for much more non-military turrets on my ship, so at that point I was certain that the mining drone, as far as I was concerned, was ready. The last changes I made to the ship was increase its health, I increased its length, fill out the newfound space with the titanium energy generator to actually sustain that upgrade, and another engine, and with that complete, I only had to fly back to the equipment dealer, grab a few more mining turrets, and then I completely ruined the nice rounded design of the front of the ship by making sure that I had enough crew quarters due to just how much mining guns I had on it at the time. And then after a brief trip to hire a captain, I was at the 30-minute mark of my first Let's Play, and I watched the ship just shred a titanium asteroid within seconds. Finally, I have my first ship, which was, come to think, very reminiscent of a Liberty gunship at that point. Not really my intention, but there you go. I also decided that the ship design itself was good enough to be used as a base for a second one, and that is where the Advanced Shipyard mod helps us to speed things along a little bit. Though to my immense surprise, it turned out that even a small ship such as this thing, now called the Hectic Shipping, needed a whole 5 minutes to be made. To be fair, it's not like these 5 minutes were boring at all. This was the first wave of pirates in this playthrough, and needless to say, with the civilian turret upgrade system installed on the Mole, and with the Hectic Shipping still being built, there was really little I could do than to simply observe the fight. And also take note that the loot that they dropped was actually kind of good. That was, of course, the first thing I did the moment the second ship was done. I set the Mole to mine out the area while I grabbed the Hectic Shipping and made my way back to the battle area to see what kind of items the pirates dropped. I will admit that I named the second ship a trader. I wasn't really fully sold on that concept just yet, but it turned out that one of the things that the pirates dropped was an exceptional velocity bypass. And for those who don't know, it removes the ship's maximum speed cap at the expense of the power it generates, but to me it's probably one of the most broken upgrades in the game, even on hard difficulty. After all, who cares about power where you can just outrun torpedoes? Still, now that my trading ship had the ability to embrace its inner Sonic, I also grabbed one of the newer additions of the game, a map, which provides me with a star chart of the surrounding area. Needless to say, the more costly ones also allowed me to see what kind of stations I had, but since I didn't really have enough money for that, I quickly passed on that. And then, well, then it was time to make the ship into an actual trader, which I honestly can tell you it took me much more time than I really wanted to, and still, in the end, it resulted in a ship that was rather strange. Like, I tacked on a old Border Worlds transport to a caricature of a submarine. If I'm completely honest, at the time recording this voiceover, I've already decided to completely redo the damn thing, but it was a good example of testing out pre-made items by copying and pasting them like I did for these engines. I wanted to make it look like a container transport more than anything else, which, to be fair, kinda did, but again, it's the original top part that looks really out of place for me, and I'm sure as hell gonna fix that in the next episode. That's to say, I will save this second design unless someone really fancies it. I'm just going to leave it as a saved ship design for a sort of stepping stone video later down the line. So if you guys do like this sort of thing, feel free to tell me. I can certainly have it return as a mining barge or something. But until then, this is basically where we left off. Needless to say, not really a complicated episode in the grand scheme of things. Going to be mainly focusing on the progression in the next episode, and again, this is the first type of video where I kind of narrate over the existing video. This whole length of that video footage that you just saw, it was about an hour and a half of recording, and considering how short this narration is, I would say it was a good idea to, you know, kind of hurry things along with just a regular narration. Anyway, this is Spazzy Dragon aka Syndromes. I'll see you in the next episode.